Hello, it's Paul again. We're going to be testing some more of that level that you saw yesterday. Just had a few refinements to it. I think currently these buildings at the edge of lots won't be locked on these missions because generally they're not going to contain anything in incursion missions. However, yeah, it's a little bit complicated to explain. You can have additional buildings that are positioned within the lot. So, for example, these triangular ones that I showed yesterday are, but this is just the generator messing around. So we will largely ignore that for now, especially as we can't get in that way, which is rather irritating. So we will get in this way instead. Thank you once again for the questions. Quite a few things to deal with. Some stuff about story again, which I will hopefully get to later. Here I'm just going to unlock this. There is a grenade launcher. There's a shotgunner, a pistol, and a grenade launcher in the lot currently, which does make for a much more interesting lot. Moving on to another level today as well, which should be quite good. Now, something I can't do actually is pass through there in the next turn, so we will just do this. Yes, things are now motoring. As I said yesterday, the core gameplay is feeling really nice, and the basic kind of solid stuff of the game is still working. But we are constantly playing now and trying to tweak a few things. Ian is looking at the grenade launcher AI, which is good. As I mentioned that yesterday, we saw that grenade launcher suiciding was kind of a pain. So if we see similar stuff like that today, we may take a break while I get the debug information. The pathfinding thing as well is also going to be under investigation. But we put up with these things while testing for now. Holy shitballs. That's not what we want. That's not what we want. We'll do one of these. Let us move in here as well. It's quite sunny today. I'm happy about that. None of this horrible cold weather that we've been having recently. I shall be going outside, as I try to do every day. This is a pretty important thing when you work at home. And you work in a job like mine, trying to get outside and do exercise in the middle of the day is a good thing. Grenade launcher is ducking there, so hopefully we'll be able to take them out. Similarly, that shotgun. I am going to maintain my presence here, just to kind of lock off that part of the level. But I think what we really need to be doing is getting through here and getting a bit more presence on the map there. This one we shall send over, I think, to here. We'll see. If we can get that grenade launcher, which I think we can, we should be doing well. So let's see. I don't know. I think we surprised those units at a good time. I don't think they have much chance to react. Got the grenade launcher. That was a pistol there that we got. The shotgunner is zooming off around there to be tricky. Perhaps a long turn wasn't the best option there. Now, I'm a little bit confused about what happened with that long turn, because our plan ended there. So that's an interesting situation which I shall look at later. Not quite sure that's intended behaviour. Oh well, it's good to find bugs. That shotgunner is kind of zooming around there on its patrol route. Again, something probably worth investigating, which I shall do after this playthrough. One of the good things about doing these videos is that I'm documenting everything that happens, so I have an easy reference point. I think the grenade launcher AI being a bit more useful is going to become important as we get on with this. That unit is not moving, which is interesting. I think he got stuck there. We don't necessarily need to be aiming. Come out here, get some position. We should be able to get that surrounded. Although, once we get to here, I think aiming will help. Let's try now. I think what may be happening with that shotgunner is it's kind of sticking to a patrol route. Now it's definitely attempting AI, but we managed to get it outranged there, which is what you want. Something to look at there. Lot gameplay, not quite what I wanted. I'm going to bring this around here, aim through the window, similar to how I did last time. That worked pretty well. Wait there. Cancel aim here. Come around here. Aim there. Come around here. Aim there. Let's see how we get on. Just going to adjust that position. And then I might just add a little bit to that weight. No, I don't need to be aiming. The deadly ballet of frozen Synapse as we position our units. I mean, that's interesting. I could wait there. Let's start this aim a bit earlier. Okay, that seems good. So yeah, looking at what happened on the lot there is going to be interesting. That's kind of my main beef with this level at the moment. Oh. Okay, interesting. Interesting. We had that machine gunner kind of going crazy in there. Didn't actually manage to take out any of my units, I think. So my kind of coordinated strategy was quite effective there. Boom. Pistol gone. Yeah, he didn't get enough of a look there. Oh, I'm sorry. He did take out that one. And then we're kind of good to go. So here we have the bond. There we have the relic. I want the relic to be in one of these buildings. So I'm going to move that. Let's see now what this is like. And again, like, yeah, no, the relic really should be in one of these buildings, I think. To just add a bit to it. So that's fine. But there's some quite nice flow there. This is a good sort of shortish early mid-game level. Yeah, okay, so we've got the same thing going on there. We kind of anticipated that. Okay, that's fine. Some notes there, but moving in the right direction, I think. Okay, some changes have now been made, so I'm going to go back into the level. I really need to click on the window to stop that frame rate thing happening and have a look. Now, one of the changes you can see here is this fog texture. This is one that we are almost certainly going with for the interior of locked rooms. Added a bit of noise to it to kind of indicate that you generally can't see in there and it's generally not part of the system. Work is still continuing on these, the windows when they're sort of shuttered up, and these unlock zones here. That kind of static UV thing is kind of cool, but we'll have to see about that. So work is ongoing on there. I am not overwhelmingly in love with the color, but I think we probably do need a different color to differentiate. Okay, some interesting stuff going on over there. A few tweaks have been made to this level now, so I shall attempt to go in there and see what we're doing. So we currently have just a shotgunner and a pistol on the lot. In some versions of this, there is a grenade launcher out there as well, but not in the one we have rolled here. That seems to be fine. There are pathfinding bugs happening still, which is an annoyance. But there you go. Right, let's make our way into the lot now and see how we get on. Some of the something Ian has done today has broken these status bars. I left one of my units behind. Never mind. Never mind. Well, we'll continue with 3 and see how we get on. Ah, no, we won't. No, we won't. we'll bring this unit in here for now, and I'll just camp out there. Shouldn't cause a problem. We're kind of zeroing in on this. We tried a version where the secondary buildings would open up at the same time as the main building, kind of releasing enemies into the lot. What happened there? Did I not make the plan? How foolish of me. How foolish of me. This is a deeply incompetent playthrough. I hope you are able to cope with that. Definitely want to get to your questions momentarily. I'll also try not to tap the microphone with my pen. What is happening? Why is this happening? That is very odd. Bugs. Today has largely been a kind of bug-related day, as I'm sure Ian will tell you. Is that unit walking in there? Apparently they are. Try it one more time. If not, what we'll do is we'll roll the level again and we'll attempt to get things going in a more satisfactory manner. No, something super weird happening there. Right, in that case, I shall stop and send a bug report. Right, I'm actually going to just resume here for the purposes of testing. I didn't mean to make that crazy plan. And then just kind of get in there and see what's going on. So we shall do that. Just play very quickly and see what happens. Always a good policy in a deeply tactical game. So yeah, as I mentioned, I'm kind of happy with how the interior of the lock zones is going, but we're really struggling to get these locked doors and windows and these unlocked zones to look right at the moment. Our artist Rich is having a bit of a hard time with that. Some of that's just some technical stuff and some other things. Eventually, I want to have it do something nice when it unlocks. Interesting. These buildings were not supposed to unlock. Interesting. Well, I shall play with them unlocked. See what happens. I'm going to try being a bit bold here, which normally doesn't go well, but I shall try anyway. See if I can kill two birds with one stone there. Let's see. I may have misinterpreted something about the unlock state of those buildings. Okay. That was an interesting trade. I will, in this instance, take that trade. It's all over fairly quickly. So yeah, then my job is just to take this out. I mean, as a small level, there are some interesting things about this, but it's still not clicking for me. I still think we need to have something more substantial here in this area. We need to make better use of these things. So it's back to the drawing board again. Hello, time for your questions. Chris C. Wasn't this supposed to come out like 2 years ago with 2 upvotes? Yes, it was. Games take a long time. What can I tell you? Blue Tug says, maybe Motivn likes to actually make their games instead of riding on early access money, lol. Well, either that or we're just slow. Explosive Lava, no worries. You said sorry for the many comments. I don't mind. Lots of comments are good. Questions are good. I can already see half of the next video, i.e. this video, being dedicated to reading my comments. I've got time. John Monroe says, how about a static TV static effect for the lock zones to show your surveillance is being jammed? You can see we kind of went in that direction. Simon Maxwell says, thanks for showing off more of the game. Intrigued by the faction dynamics, reminding me of Syndicate or Gangsters. That's cool. Gangsters is a kind of a forgotten game, a weird one. It seems that level of the game will be very dynamic. I was curious if you can reveal any insight into how you're going to approach weaving the narrative into place. Perhaps story missions will unlock after certain incursions or milestones are hit. Please say Balakwa is returning. Balakwa is returning. My only outlet for comedy in the writing of the game is definitely returning. Yeah, the incursions. So the incursions will follow a linear progression to some extent. We're hoping to have pools at different levels. Sort of as you progress in the game, you'll get different incursions drawn from different difficulty pools. So hopefully it'll be different every time you play. But those incursions will have story beats within them. We might have them kind of constrained down to one at certain points to do story beats, or they might all have different story elements within them. So that will be a progression that goes through from the early incursions where you're trying to figure out out what's going on, right through to the end when you probably know what's going on and there might be something that you have to prevent or something that you have to do around that time. So that's how that side of the linear story is going to work, hopefully, is within that structure of incursions. Thank you for asking your prior question. That's very nice. You mentioned that we'll be trying to interdict incursions, but I'm really curious if you can share what are some of the other management aspects we'll be engaging in, or how we both run our faction and engage with the others, perhaps things like production, construction, and or diplomacy. So you won't have construction. Production, not really. You'll have services that you purchase from the city, and I will do a video about this when this system is a bit more fleshed out. You might see some of this in the GDC coverage. We've got some appointments to do some press coverage at GDC, so you may see some of that come out then. Diplomacy, yeah, that's quite a big feature of the game. Again, it's in the works. Different factions respond differently to you doing various things. You'll be interrupting their ventures, so they'll go into the city and do specific missions that benefit them. You'll be interrupting with them because the districts will complain about it or react to it in some way. So yeah, managing your relationships with the other factions is important and is something that we're developing over time. Rare UI. Following these videos is actually really interesting. Thank you. Is there any work going on the multiplayer side of things? Not at the moment. We've got quite a lot of that done already. Ian's excited about one turns. The normal multiplayer modes are in there. Yep, we'll have all the multiplayer modes from Frozen Synapse 1 will be in there. And of course, all the new units and the new mechanics like focus aim will play a big part in multiplayer. So yes, you mentioned the one turn modes. I don't think we'll be doing more multiplayer modes than that initially, but who knows? Neo Wolf, thank you for reading my comments. That's fine. I enjoy all of these comments, and it really helps me kind of get a picture of what you are thinking. Thank you for trying to keep your ideas clear and not flood me with text. I appreciate it. Optimistic about development. That's lovely. Really appreciate that. Thank you. Lock zones. I love the design and how it works. Looks very intuitive. The color looks good too. Hooray! What doesn't look very attractive to me is the loot. Oh, that's fine. That's just placeholder right now. So that's fine. People are not immersed in the idea the player is inside a control room. A loading screen. Yes, we'll have a proper loading screen. Maybe you could ask an artist to make a control room concept art on the loading screen. Well, we will be tying some stuff in. I wouldn't necessarily do all of that. Also, if you control yourself in the HQ, don't break that even more with the idea that it's a computer screen you're looking at, but you're fighting and walking at the same time. Okay, so this is referring to the idea that the player avatar is in the game. So you have a character in the game. I think we'll need to use some artistic license in terms of how you're doing the connection. So it'll probably be a neural interface of some kind so that character can move around the map. So this would be something that's kind of displayed on the inside of your brain. So conceptualizing that will be interesting, but we'll figure it out. I think what I want it to be is very functional, to have all the information kind of laid out in a sort of tool interface type way. We always called Frozen Synapse an interface game, and that's kind of what we want to do. Civilian behavior. Rich people district run at sight of weapons. Laboratory people, they keep close to the security guards. Bank, freeze and duck where they are. Yeah, okay, interesting. Yeah, different district staff for different civilian behavior. Not sure we'll do that, but I'm going to look at the civilians. That's going to be one of the last thing we do on the levels is make the civilian behavior work. Turns. I like how FS1 managed number of turns. I trust you'll make a good job on FS2. Thank you. We'll try to do that. FS1 doesn't have difficult levels on the campaign. Well, I beg to differ. Some of them are pretty hard. You could make a hard mode campaign with fewer turns. Yeah, turn limits could be flexible, certainly. Political consequences for exploding buildings. I'm glad you're on board with that. I really think it's going to be good. Yes, consequences for killing civilians by accident. Yes, that will feature in the district's response. So that's good. Thanks for the explanation about the story. My pleasure. Litigation Jackson. One of the strengths of having regenerating troops is that when you do poorly in a level or lose a really high quality guy unexpectedly, you'll be likely to actually try and play the level to completion as opposed to just restarting. Yes, that's absolutely right. We are definitely thinking of keeping the feature we have now where you can restart from any turn. That actually just proves to be quite fun, and it's not a decision that puts too much pressure on you. Obviously, if we did some kind of Iron Man mode, then, you would fail if you did that. But I kind of quite like it as a feature, especially if something happens or you do something wrong, doesn't go quite right. I kind of like it. Aaron, on that last turn, really hope the grenade is playing bait. I did that frequently. Nade the room you're in, leave the room. The enemy went in for the grenadier kill. I don't think it is specifically doing that. Ian revised the grenade AI today to stop it killing itself. So I'm not sure that's exactly what it was trying to do. But we'll see. I mean, these things are a work in progress. I realised the city level is nearly the same across games. I thought they were procedural. We're using one city that's been procedurally generated at the moment. We don't know how many we're going to ship with. It might be quite a few. Also, the position of all of the different buildings within the city is generated. So although the heights and buildings and their shapes might be the same per city, those cities can be used multiple times with buildings in different locations. So there really is quite a lot of flexibility around there. Muji is the best Keon. Hello again. If you're going to add turn limits, particularly a hard turn limit, you should really think them through carefully. The way they generally tend to go in games is that they're either so lax they almost don't matter, or so tight that they restrict the player's playstyle. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we will think that through per level. You wanted the idea of reinforcements coming in, and that gives you sort of a chance to do something. I like that idea, and I prefer that idea to just a hard turn limit. So we will see if we can do that. Andrew Morris, kind of strange. They start out wildly shooting, then they get more accurate. That's kind of the shooting mechanic in Frozen Synapse, kind of how it works. Maybe it is a bit weird. Who knows? Martin, hey Paul. Thank you. I'm really loving these videos. Seeing how you've all been putting this together is really inspiring. Really appreciate that. Thank you. Turn limits, the first thing that came to mind was XCOM 2's turn limit in both the tension it makes the player feel as well as the narrative reason for the limit. Something gradually overwhelming the player with reinforcements. I really do want to try that. It just may not work, and it may not be possible to try, but I would like to try it. Yes. I don't think that would necessarily be tied into the map level. I think that might be a bit complicated because then you'd have to do something involving sequencing the reinforcements arriving directly from the faction while you're playing the level. The levels kind of happen in 0 time at the moment, which is really helpful for how we're managing stuff on the map. So, yeah, it's difficult. But I'm going to explore this reinforcements idea, hopefully. Explosive lava. You could give civilians an essential role within a level if you manage to keep them calm. They stay calm, but if they start panicking, enemies will know something's up. Yeah, I want there to be levels where there is a process happening that civilians are taking part in and you're engaging in that process, definitely. About civilians, I understand it wouldn't be realistic to not have them react to armed men, but if I walk on the street and see men in arms, I don't start panicking. Now, this is a good point because I think, obviously, some countries have armed police around generally, and sort of it is something that people are kind of used to. We might look at this again. I'm starting to see this argument that you don't want panic until a shot's fired. It might be more dramatic. It might work better, so we'll look at that. Will there be an item or service that silences your shots so you can take out enemies from behind? No, not currently. There isn't. We did look at that. It kind of just makes the game way too complicated. So stealth is largely confined to avoiding enemies on your way into the building. We don't have stealth kills currently in the game. We'll see. Thoughts on turn limits, as long as they don't make you feel like you're on a tight schedule. Yeah, the idea wouldn't be to put sort of artificial pressure on you. It would be to just make you have to move forward, so that you don't want to just straight up camp everything. Blue tag, thank you. Awesome vid. Thanks for the answers. My pleasure. Some more questions and feedback. I think arriving forces instead of strictly timed turns is a great idea. Yeah, okay, that's a big. I can tell that a lot of you want that, so that's interesting. We're not entertaining the idea of 3-way battles currently. That's going to be too complicated. Extra challenges occurring via unlock zones is awesome, and I see loads of potential for that with the level design and challenges. I'm excited to see more of that. Yes, I do want to use that more. We've been struggling with this level a bit, not quite sure why. I'm going to look into that tomorrow, hopefully. But we will get there, and I like these optional parts of levels. If an item inside of a lockdown zone, but you kill all enemies, do you get the item? I don't know currently. I don't know. It might depend per level. We'll see. We'll see about that. I mean, I think if you kill all the enemies on the level, then you probably would get the item, because otherwise you'd have to just go around kind of unlocking everything and hoovering stuff up. So that's a bit pointless. I think in most cases, if there's something juicy in a building, there's going to be an enemy in there with it. So it kind of becomes moot at that point. How deeply are factions besides Sonata integrated in the story? Will it have branching paths and or opportunities to ally and make hostile some factions? I know one of the endings does that for a certain faction. Yeah, I don't know currently about that. I think I would like to involve them. It might be a case where you're dealing with a sort of sub-faction that exists permanently, even if that faction gets killed, because of course that could ruin the story if you knock out one of the factions and then they sort of appear later on. It might be that there is a sort of sub-faction or something. Not sure on that yet. Support from you on the system of regenerating clones. Thank you. Yeah, I think that's what we're going to be doing. Explosive lava again. Lock zones. I like the way the locked doors look. Windows look like doors. Yeah, that's something we're working on. It's confusing. Smoke unit. Will there be some kind of gadget item in the game that lets your unit see through smoke? No. Permadeath. Yeah, we're going to work with that regenerating clones idea. Thank you for your good luck wishes. If only you had the single-player world map combined with multiplayer. Well, we do. You can play the version... You can play multiplayer on the single-player map, where you take control of different factions. That is something that we really, really, really want to do, and there is a lot of tech in there for it currently. I would like that to make the 1.0 release. If it doesn't, we believe currently it will happen. So that is there. You'll be able to use the map and so on in multiplayer. We hope. Damien W. On the topic of turn limits, I think an ETA until enemy forces arrive. Okay, we've got the idea. That is a very strong recommendation from you. Kendrick, best question 2018. Uh-oh. Is there any meaning behind the 3-cube V-shaped logo for the game? Well, that logo was originally just an abstract thing, but it kind of came to represent the idea in FS1 of Charon's palm, the shape form or the AI sort of presence in the game that was the antagonist. So we kind of thought that was like a visualization of that character in some ways. And then now it's just become sort of iconographic representation of Frozen Synapse. So there's nothing particularly significant about the fact that it's 3 cubes. It's a thing that is related to the story in the first game somewhat, but not particularly more than that. Right, thank you very much. I hope my answers were coherent. More videos soon, probably not tomorrow. I'm away tomorrow doing some other things, so I will update you hopefully on Thursday. Thanks for watching.